It is NFL Week 11, and I'm breaking it all down here from a FanDuel perspective. If you guys are looking for a DraftKings video, I've got a DK video up on the YouTube channel as well, so go check that one out. But right here, breaking down FanDuel, going over core plays at each position, top projected lineups. Only thing I'm going to ask of you guys is to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you like this free content. It helps support us. And if you're looking to sign up for our NFL package, use the link below. Promo code Millie is going to get you 20% off. And why promo code Millie? Well, because we had somebody win $1 million using our Sims tool this weekend over on DraftKings. Somebody won the 555 tournament. Short Gamer TV took down $1 million, but there was a lot of other people that won contests last weekend as well. Somebody won the $3.20 max on DK for $100,000. Somebody won the mini max. I almost won the milli on FanDuel. I came very, very tilting. I came 10 points out of first place on FanDuel, only got 1 point out of my defense, which was the Saints defense. And it was the only lineup that I had of my 150 lineups that had the Saints defense. And my most roster defense was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who scored 12 more fantasy points than the Saints and were $200 less expensive. They just didn't end up being in that lineup. But either way, it was a very profitable slate for me. Somebody won $1 million using our Sims last weekend, which is why we're running this promo. Sign up using that link below. Promo code Millie. First time you sign up for our Sims package, you get 20%. It's good for NFL. It is good for basketball as well. Let's go ahead and look at my lineups here. I'll favor the top 150, and we'll look at some of the top projected lineups. Number one overall lineup here, it is a Rams double stack. Matthew Stafford, pass catching options that he's stacked with are Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. And then we also have Adam Thielen in here as the pass catcher. Running backs, Tony Pollard, James Conner, also Devin Singletary in the flex spot, and then Evan Ingram in the tight end spot with the Commanders defense. Commanders, their defense is terrible, but they're playing against the Giants. Giants offense is terrible. It's, a stoppable force against a movable object. I do lean more towards the Commanders side. Should note that Matthew Stafford is questionable to play. If he's out, then obviously we don't want to be playing him this week. So I'll go ahead and look at the second best projected lineups. We have a sense of hey, if Stafford doesn't play, what else looks good? Second best projected top lineup here for me. It is a Jaguars double stack. Trevor Lawrence with Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley. And a lot of the same players in here. Tony Pollard was in both top lineups. James Conner was in both. Devin Singletary is in both. But the big difference here is just the stacks that we're building around these core options. So it is a Jaguars double stack, and then also Tyreek Hill at wide receiver and Cole Kmet at tight end. So there's a couple of top lineups that are projecting well for me based on the simulated ROI here on FanDuel. And now we'll go ahead and look at each position by position to determine who the core players are that I'm getting the most exposure to. At QB, CJ Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, Tua, and Geno Smith, and that's kind of it. I do have 6.7% of Stafford. He wasn't my highest projected lineup, but beyond him, we're underway to every single quarterback on the slate in this run of lineups and this tight group of 4 QBs in Stroud, Lawrence, Tua, and Geno Smith. See what we got going at running back. Running back, basically all in on Devin Singletary. He's in 94.7% of my top 150 lineups. So, only a couple of my top lineups don't have Devin Singletary. A couple of notes on Devin Singletary. First and most important, we do have Dameon Pierce listed as questionable to play. If Pierce ends up playing, then Singletary will project much worse for us. But we've the entire week been projecting Pierce to be out, which is why Singletary projects for 15.3 fantasy points for us, one of the top projected running backs on the slate. However, something else about Dameon Pierce. If Pierce is ruled out, Devin Singletary, sure, his projection will stay the same, but his ownership will also go up in the event that Pierce is ruled out officially, which then would also slightly lower my exposure here to Devin Singletary. But that aside, he's the best play on the slate, assuming Pierce doesn't play in our projections. Other running backs, getting to a lot of here, Tony Pollard. Feel terrible about it. Pollard has been priced down on FanDuel. I'm not getting quite as much of him on DK. What are you going to do? He's got a great matchup against the Carolina Panthers. He's been absolute dog shit this year, Tony Pollard. He's getting opportunities. The Cowboys are scoring a bunch of points as of late, but he's been super inefficient. He's not finding the end zone. Every single week, I go, this is going to be the slate that I don't end up playing Tony Pollard. Then you look at his price, you look at the schedule. He's always in a great matchup, and I end up playing some of Tony Pollard. So I'm going to have some lineups with him for sure. I might artificially lower this so I don't quite have 54%. We'll see what comes up by Sunday in terms of what his ownership is and how the slate might change. But he is projecting as one of the top running backs in our data as of now. Aaron Jones, James Conner, and James Cook rounding out the other running backs I'm getting the most exposure to. An underweight here to Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs, Breece Hall, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Darrell Henderson. Let's go ahead and look at wide receivers next. The wideouts over on FanDuel getting to a whole bunch of Tank Dell, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Cooper Kupp, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett. These are really the core guys that we have here at wide receiver that I have 15+% of, the 14% there of Tyler Lockett. Lockett is listed as questionable to play. Michael Wilson is also listed as questionable to play. So there's some injury notes that we should keep an eye on. Tank Dell getting to a ton of him, and Tyreek Hill is my overall favorite pay-up option on the slate. And you can see how with all the Tua exposure we have, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, getting to a bunch of them, and I'm sure some double stacks where it makes sense from a salary perspective as well to get to Tyreek Hill and Waddle together with Tua. Underweight to Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Hollywood Brown, Deebo Samuel, Devontae Adams, and Stephon Diggs at wide receiver. Let's go ahead and check out the tight ends to round up what we're looking at on FanDuel. And yeah, really only 3 guys popping up meaningfully, not getting to very many double tight end lineups on FanDuel this weekend. So Ingram, Schultz, Cole Kmet, all 20+% owned by me. And then 8.7% of Trey McBride, but he is projected for 16% ownership. So ultimately underweights the field here on McBride, although he will project better if Michael Wilson ends up getting ruled out. So that's going to do it for me. If you guys enjoyed this content, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Good luck this weekend, guys, and I will see you back here next week.